Hi there. Today we're going to talk about the book All Secure by Tom Satterley. He started his military career in the United States Army in 1986 and after basic training in Missouri was deployed to a mechanized unit in Germany. While in Germany, he was able to take special training with the German commando forces and also the French commandos, and this really excited his interest in taking his career further. So he decided to go for Special Forces Assessment and Selection for the Green Berets. So he goes through that. One of the things he talks about during that training was the leadership element, whereas everyone works together. You know, if you have to pick up someone else's load to help the whole team get through a particular task, then you would do it, and it fostered team spirit to a quite high level. So numerous PT tests, Bergen marches, night nav exercises, and so on. After passing, and he's deployed to the 5th Group, quite early on in his career, two of the guys who had actually been instructors but were now his NCOs in the Green Berets, suggested that he try out for the unit, otherwise known as Delta Force. They had earmarked him as having potential. So a couple of months later, it's in 1991, he takes selection for the Delta Force. And he talks about how the course was conducted, the introductory training, which is really showing the guys the ropes, then a series of marches building up in both length and weight carry to the final week where everything was tested. And one of the things that really puts pressure on is the unknown time limits. Many of the marches, and particularly towards the end, you were just given a series of checkpoints, and everything was timed, but the timings are never revealed. So you never know if you're going fast enough. All you're told is do it as fast as you can. And these timings are a close held secret even within the unit. And the only people who ever find out about them are guys who return as DS, directing staff on the course, on the selection course. He then talks about the OTC, the Operator Training Course, the long process, many months, intensive CQB training, range training, lots and lots of different skills. He talks about the difference between how Delta and SEAL Team 6 perform house assaults, for example. I found that interesting. He also talks about the training they were given in low profile or covert operations, operating in plain clothes. They were each given a copy of Dress for Success by John Malloy as a guide to how to dress in various circumstances, and also given lessons on reducing the military signature, what kind of watch you wear, use some military terminology, saying 5 o'clock instead of 1700, this kind of thing, just to break that military signature. He is then, he passes after doing the usual commander's board with Pete Schoonmaker was the colonel at the time, and gets into C Squadron, and he's in G team of 2 troop, 6-man team. And one of the first things they do is he's sent to military freefall training, Marana, Arizona, and then various jobs such as going to Bogota in Colombia, doing various surveys and security checks and things like this, looking for bad guys and working alongside other United States government entities. Now, a really big part of the book concerns Mogadishu, the famous Black Hawk Down operation. C Squadron of Delta was heavily involved, and a lot of what they did was portrayed in the movie. He talks about it in tremendous detail, both the action and the aftermath. His team leader, who seems something of a hard case, just kept making him do dangerous things, sending him outside. They were in a in a house barricaded in, taking lots of fire, and he keeps sending him out, go and take more ammo to the guys in the house opposite and things like this, just putting him really under the microscope. Next comes Bosnia. He talks about the operations they did there, again quite a lot of detail, and then 9/11, and by this time he is team leader, and they've been doing vehicle training in New England, and they're flying back in New York airspace when the captain, it's a civilian aircraft, and the captain makes a broadcast for any military to make themselves known. So he tells the rest of the team to stay where they are, and he goes forward. And the captain tells him about the hijackings and asks him to guard the cockpit door. So he does that, and that's his introduction to 9/11. Obviously, America's at war, but before he can go to war, he's sent to be an instructor on the selection and the OTC. But then he returns, and he is troop sergeant in 2 Troop. And he goes to Baghdad, and very heavy operational deployment. And even though he's gone into a lot of detail about his career so far, the highlight so far really being Mogadishu, most of what the military were doing before 9/11 was peacetime role. Even though the Delta, like 22 SAS, had specialised things to do all over the place, 9/11 changed everything, and particularly with the Iraq invasion, and they're in Baghdad, and doing lots and lots of house assaults. They go down to Ramadi, and they're doing some work down there, and alongside the SAS, and the troop officer, decides to interfere. The plan's already been briefed. He said, no, I want it done this way. He makes changes, and he does it in front of the conventional forces and the SAS. So Tom Satterley doesn't want to get up and confront his officer in front of outsiders. So although he's seething, he goes with the flow. Unfortunately, by sticking his nose in where he shouldn't, the officers missed passing on vital intelligence that it was his job to keep track of, and the target has changed, and this leads to 2 SAS guys being killed because the target house, which they're focused on, was the wrong place, and they were actually assaulted from the actual target. So as a result of this, Tom Satterley goes to command tells him about this officer, and 20 minutes later the guy is out of the unit. Then Christmas time, President Bush makes a flying visit and taps Tom on the shoulder. He turns around, there's the president, and he says, "When are you going to get him?" meaning Saddam. And he promises the president that they will. And the next part of the book is the manhunt for Saddam, and C Squadron does actually track him down and catch him. So the book is remarkably detailed, goes into his career. He talks about living on Ripit drinks and energy drinks, the ups and downs. He was tasked with standing up a new squadron, this kind of thing, and then he becomes completely disillusioned with Delta. He realizes that a lot of the guys are in it for their own ego and protecting their own backsides, and he leaves with a bad taste in his mouth. And exceptional story, exceptional career. Him and his wife now devote their time to a foundation helping people and doing good work. There's quite a few books about Delta and SEAL Team 6, and this is certainly one of the most detailed and one of the most graphic.